Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Prep Life. Let's talk about this governor in New Mexico, Democrat named Michelle Grisham. She suspends all concealed and open carry rights in the Albuquerque area due to her emergency order. She says infringing on constitutional rights is her right under an emergency because it's temporary, it's not permanent. Now, the good thing about this order is nobody's paying attention to this in law enforcement because they're saying it's unconstitutional. And even Democrats in the state of New Mexico are saying you can't do this, which is a good sign. They're calling for impeachment right now. Right now, it's on Friday, it was announced a 30-day ban on the right to carry open or concealed firearms in public in an effort to curb gun violence. So I wanted to look at the crime stats and figure out, like, hey, what are the crime statistics and what are they telling us? You know, this entire thing stemmed from a knee-jerk reaction when an 11-year-old boy was killed in an act of gun violence. Now, that's horrible. Like, that happens, by the way, every single weekend in this country, especially in the inner city. And that's a horrible thing. But let's not talk about what this actually is, which is human beings having mental health issues, but we're going to blame it on the gun. Because if you're a law-abiding citizen and you're open or concealed carrying, you're the problem. When you're trying to defend your family's life, even your own life, in self-defense, which is your constitutional right, we're sitting here looking at 73 homicides that have been opened so far in 2023, 83 of which have had a firearm involved. Now, my curiosity was like, how is the breakdown of this characterized? The number one gun-related case motivation in homicide in New Mexico is individual disrespect. That's not me. That's the categories by the government of New Mexico and how they're aligning them with stats. Individual disrespect. In fact, the murder that claimed the life of this 11-year-old was a road rage incident, which ended with the 11-year-old being killed with a gun, and it was deemed an individual disrespect homicide. No idea what that means, but 42 have been individually disrespected in the entire year of 2023. Drug-related, 13. Domestic violence, 9. Random victim, 4. Road rage, 4. And violence on homeless, 1. Mental health-related, 1. And robbery, 2. Now, I honed in on that mental health-related being 1. We also understand that 60% of all gun deaths in America happen to be mental health-related because they're suicides. The overwhelming majority of gun-related deaths in this country happens to be somebody self-inflicting themselves with a gunshot that ends in a fatality. We don't openly talk about that. Or the real problem, which is the lack of the family unit, the lack of the father, these kids growing up in these inner cities with no role models. The list goes on. Poverty, et cetera, et cetera. We don't want to address the real issues. We just want to constitutionally infringe on law-abiding citizens' rights. And that's the MO now. They've called for impeachment. I hope she gets impeached. Let's look at a little bit about the homicide victims by age. 18% are 46 years and older. 2% are 17 years and under. 18 to 25% is 24%. 18 to 25 years old is 24%. And 26 to 35 years old is 20%. The overwhelming majority of these murders are being taken place against people who are 36 to 45 years old at 37%. Now, guys, we talk about gun violence. We talk about all the things that are going on in our society, and this is the overwhelming fear. The fear is not the federal government is going to do anything to infringe because that's already happening. I mean, we're looking at lawsuits being conducted. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals have already looked at the correlation between the government and social media platforms suppressing and censoring people's voices. Your rights, especially your First and Second Amendment rights, are already being infringed by the federal government. We know that. The fear here now is that at the state level, the governor and all of the political players underneath the governor are playing this game inside your state. And, you know, California deals with this every single day, but now it's bleeding off into New Mexico, where constitutional rights are being infringed. It bums me out because I have a lot of friends in New Mexico, and this doesn't need to happen. And it's not a gun issue, it's a people issue. We know that. Guys, if you didn't know, Biden just got back from an Asian tour. He went to Vietnam. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we're beating a dead horse, like literally. He literally said in a press conference when being interviewed, he needed to go to bed. And one time incoherently started rambling, and one of his administratives stopped him mid-sentence and said the press conference is over because he started calling Vietnam and the area the third world. And he got confused and got lost. He was roaming around, and they shut it down. This is scaring the shit out of me. And I know you have to be scared. When we're on the cusp of a world war with a nuclear superpower, when China and Russia have a more powerful alliance than they've ever had, when we're spending billions of dollars in Ukraine, more in 2 years than we spent in the entire GWAT in Afghanistan, all of these things should be concerning to you. Here's what I'm not too optimistic about. When you look at the numbers between Trump and Biden, the overwhelming majority of the country does not approve of Biden's age, nor reputation, or history in the administration. Everything he's doing by 3/4 of the country is this guy's not the right guy. Except now the center of the country, right? You're talking about independents. You're talking about people who are going left and right and just want the best person in the position. They are torn because most of them hate Trump and they don't like Biden. But they're likely to say, I might just weigh Biden in this case over Trump, which blows my mind, number one. But what are you going to do when they decide to get him for insurrection and he's not even on the ballot? That's what's scary. You have DeSantis and Vivek who are not even close. So how is this going to end up? Well, you're likely to see more actors, politicians, all the people coming out of the woodwork and politicizing everything and getting more divisive as we lead into November of next year. Just be prepared for that, guys. Please just be prepared for that. All right, guys, when we talk about preparedness, we also talk about natural disasters. If you haven't heard, I was in the rewilding course this weekend. Spent a great time with amazing people, learning a lot about ourselves. I always learn from these courses. I'll never tell you anything that's going on in rewilding because I don't want to give it away. There are some slots available in November, but it's a 3-day experience where we rewild and get back to primal and basic skill sets. While that was going on, they had a 6.8 magnitude earthquake in Morocco where the death count is now 3,000. Most of that took place 200 miles away from the epicenter, away from the capital, where a lot of the population lived in these rural locations made of mud. I've been in 2 major earthquakes, one in Afghanistan in 2005 and one in Pakistan in 2015, and they killed thousands of people because of the infrastructure. Guys, have a natural disaster bug out bag. I listened to BJ Penn and Tulsi Gabbard's podcast with Joe Rogan. It's a great listen. When they're talking about all the things that went wrong, some things that are preventable are at your level. A lot of things, big picture, that were wrong were the governments and the institutions that we lean and depend on, which we know they're not reliable. Like the guy who was supposed to sound the alarm because there was a tsunami or a disaster, and he decided not to because he said the people's behavior was to go uphill, except there was smoke and then they were in the middle of a fire. And he actually had the ability to tell them via text there was a fire and they need to get out. They never did that. Or how the water was shut down, or how the electricity wasn't shut off. All these things are outside of your control. You know what's inside of your control? Preparing at the family level, at the community level. Having a natural disaster bag full of flashlights, food, water, all the basic necessities, a first aid kit, are going to lend itself to the mindset of being prepared always. You know, I don't even care if you have a bag and you have the wrong things in the bag. If you're preemptively thinking about setting that bag up, then you're headed in the right direction. If you do it with your children, you do it with your family, you do it with your grandmother that lives with you in Lahaina, and you set that bag up, again, everybody is in the right mindset. If something goes wrong, we grab the bag and we bug out, we displace. Please do that. Please pay attention. We'll do more of this. I plan to go to Lahaina when the dust settles and start talking about the things that we could do better when it comes to the lessons learned that we learned the hard way in Lahaina. We also have the Lahaina shirt. I have a Mike Force podcast shirt we did where we're taking proceeds of profit and giving it to the people of Lahaina. Look out for that. And I'll be in Hawaii, probably on the Big Island in Kona in December, teaching, but also taking revenue from that course and giving it to the people of Lahaina because I want to see them rebuild in the biggest and best way possible. I hate to see their land stripped away, and I hope that doesn't happen in a land grab. Jiu-jitsu, we just laid the last bit of mats. Big shout out to everybody who came out and helped us, who volunteered to set those up. Greg Lappin is ready to hit the ground running on Saturday during our grand opening, but also on Monday morning, Jiu-Jitsu starts. Our schedule will be released soon. On Saturday, you can come in Provo, Utah, and get the lay of the land. You could talk to Greg Lappin. You could talk to me. You could talk to the team and find out what's new at Fieldcraft Survival. We're doing firearms. We're doing training. We're doing ammo. We're doing all the things to make you better prepared in your backyard in Provo, Utah. Last but not least, guys, the app. We have the app up. I haven't talked about it a lot, and I apologize. People have been asking me, like, what do I do outside of training with Fieldcraft? I can't fly across the country. Well, you can get on your phone, Samsung, Apple, everywhere applications are found, and you could literally download the app, the Fieldcraft Survival app, and start training today. You could actually do it for free, and if you decide to migrate to the paid side, you could do that as well. Thanks to all my patrons that support this channel. I'm off to the underground to talk to my patron subscribers. You can subscribe at patreon.com/Mike Glover. Till next time, peace out, guys.